I'm an environmental scientist. My whole career has been trying to get the oil and gas industry to do better. I've never seen anything so bad as fracking. I've worked in this industry for 30 years. The last 10 years have been the start of the unconventionals, and I have never seen such a level of corruption in politicians, regulators, companies. Instead of improving the regulations like they promise us, they are deregulating. They've removed all the limits in Alberta for unconventionals.
Jessica Ernst is emerging as one of the leading voices in the growing worldwide movement calling for a stop to the mass application of unconventional techniques for extracting oil and natural gas. The most controversial of these unconventional extractive practices is known as hydraulic fracturing or fracking. So devastating is fracking to the public health and the environment that it has been banned in many countries, including France, Germany, the Netherlands, South Africa, Bulgaria, and Luxembourg, as well as in the Canadian provinces of Quebec and Newfoundland. The group Ms. Ernst is addressing at the University of Lethbridge in March of 2014 is part of a broadly based citizens movement calling for an end to urban drilling and fracking throughout Canada's most oil-rich province. In recent years, Alberta has been attracting considerable international infamy because of the enormous quantities of toxic pollution to earth, air, and water generated by its notorious tar sands megaproject. Rather than contain the damage, the Alberta government has been rapidly widening the sphere of unconventional oil and gas extraction, even to the point of selling off mineral rights underneath densely populated urban communities. The Lethbridge Citizens Movement arose in response to news that a China-based company known as Golden Key was preparing to drill exploratory fracking wells within a 2-mile radius of 6 schools. One of these schools is the University of Lethbridge.
But I think the most guilty is the Energy Regulator. They are failing in their jobs. I'm doing their job. How many staff do they have? I'm doing it all by myself. So the report comes out on the Innisfail blowout. Fracking was to blame. No fines, no punishments. The gas frack in Grand Prairie, yes, it contaminated groundwater. No fines, no punishments. You've heard the stats, 171,000 fracked wells in Alberta. Try getting the data on those wells. I can't. They fracked our aquifers. EnCana broke the law. The regulators broke the law. And I can't even get the chemicals that they injected into water people are still using. I haul my own, but there's still babies being bathed in this water. Some of the chemicals, benzene's a known carcinogen. Toluene damages the brain, especially in children. Toluene's used a lot in the industry. Hexavalent chromium was found by the government in a monitoring well. They didn't tell the community. And people wonder why so many people hate me, because I'm bearer of such bad news.
As an environmental biologist with her own consulting business, Jessica Ernst has worked for many of the largest companies in Alberta's petroleum industry. Around 2005, however, everything began to change. The evidence mounted that EnCana Corporation, one of her main clients, was responsible for contaminating air and groundwater in her home community of Rosebud, Alberta. Her own water well was among the many that were contaminated as a result of a massive influx of fracking activity in her community. As a petroleum industry scientist with special responsibilities for environmental and health protection, Ms. Ernst determined that her professional code of ethics required her to do due diligence. Accordingly, in 2007, Ms. Ernst sued EnCana Corporation, Alberta's 100% industry-funded oil and gas regulator, as well as the government of Alberta itself. She alleged that the tight complex of private interest and government power that characterizes the Alberta oil and gas business had violated the public interest. Rather than address directly the scientific substance of Ms. Ernst's allegations, officials responded by trying to kill the messenger. They brought forward a wild array of disinformation and smear tactics, accusing Ms. Ernst of everything from being a terrorist to breaking into government offices to alter documents. These abuses of due process were rightfully condemned by the Alberta judge assigned to the case of Ernst versus EnCana.
You have the right to say no. You have the right to protect your loved ones. You have the right to protect your university, your schools, your city council, your donut shops. My water well turned into a better gas well. It sounded like a train coming in my house because there was so much pressure it would force water taps open. Shh, all night long. It drove me crazy. It wasn't until one day I poured fresh well water for my dogs and they backed away from it in revulsion. And suddenly I knew they've been lying to us. They've been fracking. This is dangerous. It's life-threatening. EnCana didn't care. They started experimenting in my community in 2001 in secret. These wells were all fractured where the freshwater zones are. I've heard your PR people from Golden Key tell you, don't worry about your water because we're going to frack way, way, way down there. Well, when they did finally consult with us, that's what they told us too. We got the same lies. In 2001, they perforated at 100.5 meters below the surface. That is evil. It's pure evil. They didn't even warn the pregnant women or the families to protect their children and at least say, well, we're going to experiment with your water supply, so maybe you better not bathe your babies in this water. But what I began noticing was a lot of noise. Backup beepers, construction noise, compressor noise, flaring, incredible amount of noise, very stressful and extremely disruptive to life. So water wells started to go bad. EnCana investigates itself, which I think should be made illegal all around the world. When do you ever have a bank robber go to the RCMP and say, give me the fingerprinting kit, I'll do it myself? So I went for a very long walk with my dogs, and I knew I had to resign. It was a very serious day because I knew I would never get my life back. They promised us what they have promised you. We will only be far below your water table, far below the impermeable layer to protect your water. And then they did what I call another evil thing. They gave a little bit of money, it's a tiny bit of money, to one tiny part of the community, and this is to divide and conquer. Where's the urban drilling policy? And the urban drilling policy has gone from a policy to a task force to a round table. And you know what round tables are? Synergy. That is to divide and conquer. Round tables are to come and they will promise a little bit here and a little bit there, and they'll get you at a nice round table, so you will all start fighting and to divide you. So here's the letter. They copied the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. They copied their surveillance branch. You know they broke the law spying on people. They got caught. And their security. This was to intimidate me. I didn't know yet EnCana had fracked the aquifers. This was to stop me doing what I was doing, digging, research. I'm a scientist. They are still fracking the hell out of us. So you think of the pressure rising and the gas rising to surface. So back to my banishment. Now, this is the most important part of my lawsuit because the regulator in writing infringed on my charter rights. So now the regulator had to come to try to get evidence after the fact. And they tried to get me to admit to crimes I had not committed. They wanted to know about all the bombs I have in my barn. And I said, the only bomb I have in my barn is my water well. It was a very scary, very, very, very scary time. I still have nightmares. It's a very long, horrible, horrible meeting. And he admitted that they never considered me a threat. So they banished me all for a big show to scare me into nice, obedient Alberta silence. I hate going to get water. We live in Canada. Damn it. All my life, I figured we had unlimited water. I never, ever, ever thought I would be hauling water. I get a phone call from Harper's anti-terrorist squad. Well, I caught him in a lie within the first half hour. He said that they wanted me to train the 43 constables in Harper's anti-terrorist squad just for the oil and gas industry in Alberta. Because I'm so good with landowners, he said. They trust you in Alberta. Well, that's not why they came. They came to intimidate me. Who is going to pay for the road damages? You will. We did. They destroyed our roads at Rosebud. There's a new paper just came out today, I believe. There's been a peer-reviewed study got published on the incredible amount of money the fracking is causing damages to roads and the taxpayers are paying. So where are they going to put the waste? Fracking produces an incredible amount of waste. The regulator wrote me and said, don't worry, they will not dump the waste adjacent to your land. These white trucks are hauling the waste, or collecting the waste. Here's my land. So they went a mile over. This is food land. This is our bread. EnCana did a study here in your neighboring Suffield on their frac fluids and their drilling waste. Barium, mercury, arsenic, chromium, more, BTEX. I've only put a bit, there's not enough time. EnCana's document says that they work this in right away to prevent harmful effects. When the wind blows, it dries and becomes airborne and we breathe it. They didn't work it in. The ground was frozen. They will come with big trucks and drill and frack and dump their waste. How many of you know about all the earthquakes that are happening in the States? With the waste injection, they're pumping too much, they're in a hurry, they don't know what to do with this waste. So the waste injection is causing a lot of earthquakes. Fracking has been found by the regulator in British Columbia to directly have been causing earthquakes. This is the lock end. The people there are being pounded with toxic air and traffic and damages. But the amazing thing that's happening there, big VPs and CEOs in the oil and gas industry are getting fracked within a few hundred meters of their multi-million-dollar homes. And they're upset. Oil and gas people don't want to be fracked. What do they know that we don't? This is my water. It's not Photoshop. Canada filed nothing. Don't forget, this is not the trial. This is just preliminary motions to bankrupt me, to exhaust me, to kill my heart, kill my spirit, make sure all my loved ones are dead. I just hope I can live long enough to last this lawsuit. The only way you will protect Lethbridge and your loved ones, I've lost my loved ones. If you still value yours and you have your loved ones and your children and your health and your families and your parks, I love Lethbridge, it's beautiful. You keep them out. That's the only way you will protect. The power of no. The power of no. Do you understand what you're doing? Do you understand what you've given me? I never thought I would see what you are doing, what Lethbridge is doing, your city council, your school boards, your university board. I never thought I would see that in my lifetime in Alberta. Never, and you are doing it. And the world is watching.